10. Looks like something chased you up a tree. Same thing happened to me. Wild wind blowing down the neck of my shirt.
Well, everybody, welcome to this recording of a 130-kilometre short task from Talgarth, which is the Black Mountains Gliding Club in the Black Mountains in Wales in the United Kingdom. And it's a short task. I flew it originally, it might have been a couple of years ago, and that's my ghost there who flew it 2 years ago. So on the, whatever it was, 25th of October or something, of 2024, decided to fly it again and fly it with a ghost. And when the ghost flew it, I set the thermals to moderate, and I didn't try and set any lenticulars or wave up in the sky. But in 25th of October 2024, I set the thermals as strong, and I tried to set the sky up with some lenticulars, so there was a possibility I might be able to connect with wave, because I've never managed to connect with wave in the UK in Condor. I've done it in the Alps since I flew that ghost flight, so I now know that wave can be connected in Condor, so that's good. But I've not done it in the UK, so I thought, well, I'll just set the sky with lenticulars, and depending on how the flight goes and what happens, we'll take it from there. So with this video, I'm not going to show all the cross country, because it doesn't really sort of have much to sort of say beyond what I've done in other YouTube videos of flying VR and Condor. But it's worth saying that I only ever flew at the real Talgarth once, and that was the 1990s, and I flew in a Brasov IS-28 with the chief flying instructor. The wind was blowing a hoolie, about 30 knots, I think, from the west, so it was well and truly providing lift on those hills behind us. I was allowed to fly the takeoff and the aerotow, which was lively, but not too bad, actually. It was lively, but there wasn't rotor about or anything like that, from what I can recall. I remember that the tug pilot flew us straight at the hills, which was quite interesting for me, being a flat field pilot at the time. I was about bronze level, so I wasn't a very experienced pilot. And then the CFI took over as got time to release, and then ridge bashed us along over to the left along the ridge as we rose slowly with a wingtip not far away from the hillside. I remember being able to sit there and look at the sheep paying no attention to us whatsoever. They must get quite used to it. And then he, gave me some guidance about when we come around the bluff. There's a bluff you can sort of see towards the end of over the wings of the tug, to pull out away from the ridge so you can see around the bluff, because you never had close when you're going around a blind corner, obviously. Don't know who's coming the way. And then I had to go flying, and we came back this way. By this time, we were rising above the ridge, and I wanted to have a go at sort of following in the contours of that cleft you can see just above the wing of the ghost in the background. And he said, by all means, have a go, and chuckled to himself a bit. And so I had a go, and as I did that, the glider was almost stood on a wing, and he said, yes, well, that's why we don't really go too far into that cleft, because the wind funnels in and up it, and you hit it unevenly, and it gives you a bit of a surprise. But it was okay, and we just I straightened it up, and we sort of flew on, and then we carried on flying, whatever. But the thing about Talgarth is it's very small, and the old joke is with Talgarth that if you're on a cross country and we're having to choose a field for a field landing because you've run out of lift, you wouldn't choose Talgarth. When we were there, we took off in the direction I'm looking now, and the glider's pointing. But when we landed from pretty much where the tug is, sort of back there. You can't see it because it's hidden by the other discus. But and then we landed going down that way, and that's a pretty short kind of runway, and you've got to land very accurately. The ground slopes down at the threshold, so you don't want to land short, but you don't want to go far into the field. You want to be down pretty sharpish. And I had to be helped even identifying the field from 2,000 feet by the CFI because I just couldn't spot it amongst the fields in the late afternoon with shadows being cast and things and just green and featureless. So that was really that. And it was a very interesting visit to Talgarth. So on this flight, the Ghost ends up lagging behind me quite a bit because when he flew a year or two ago, I'd set the thermals to moderate. Today I set them to strong. So I'm fine because I didn't have a lot of time. And I wanted to just have a short little bit of fun in Condor without too much of a challenge. And so I get rather ahead of the Ghost. So I got to, and the task flies to turning point 1 at Shobden, then to the Long Mynd at turning point 2, and then back to Talgarth to finish the task. And I got back well before the Ghost, and I think I did about 99 kph. I didn't get everything right. I might see if I can show one or two examples of where I perhaps feel I might have made better decisions. But and I'm unballasted, flying just with one pilot. I'm not sure what the Ghost was doing. He might have been flying with two pilots, even though it's only showing one now, and he might have had water ballast on board. But I suspect it was the same configuration as I'm flying now. So I get back to Talgarth, and I come in from that direction, more or less where the windsock is on the last leg, coming back to Talgarth to finish. And then I just go and have some fun, seeing how high I can gently climb on the ridge behind. And so I do that, and the Ghost is still way off completing the task. And I'm kind of waiting for him because I thought I might join him and fly in formation. So I decided to see whether I can explore wave catching. And although it proved difficult, and I began to sort of know that it was there because of the way the air was behaving, the way it was just like real wave, where you work a beat and then you reverse the beat to come back a bit. But the wave was moving around and it wasn't a very big bar and all of that. But anyway, long story short, I did manage to get into it, and I did manage to get to 11,000 feet. And I really couldn't get beyond that. And I might have broken through and got further with hours of work. But by this time, the Ghost was back. He was doing also what I had done when I did that flight a year or two ago, having fun getting as high on the ridge as he could. I think we got to about sort of 4,000 something feet just on the ridge lift. And I thought, well, I'd like to catch him before he goes into land and see if we can fly a bit of formation together. And I'm not sure I entirely had remembered that he did some ridge bashing, and I was about to go and do it with him. So you'll see that when it comes along. So we had a great bit of fun ridge bashing, doing things that I think you probably wouldn't do in real life, because I think some of the flying was a little bit questionable with the airspeed at 1 or 2 points and the cutting round hillsides a bit too close to them and stuff. But this is Condor, so we're here to have fun. So with that, if Condor hasn't gone and crashed or anything and the pause will release, let's get the takeoff done. I have to sit here, of course, and do what I'm told, because it's a replay, so I can't make anything happen. What we will be watching is what happened on the 25th of October 2024 when I flew the task with the Ghost. And what happens here is there's meeting my pre-flight checks, controls full and free, that kind of stuff, and I'll be checking the trim and doing my mnemonic in my head and all that kind of stuff. And there's the Ghost going off ahead of me. So, and we've got quite a crosswind, quite a strong crosswind, and as you can see, he's not really got the plane ready to catch that. It's caught him out, and I don't do a great job even on this one because I'm not flying that regularly, and also Condor is a lot more difficult than a real glider to actually feel the air and be ahead of the crosswind catching you. So you have to after practice with Condor, you can get it right, but I wander off a bit as well. But if you look, I've got my rudder set the wrong way. I don't know what I've done. Senior moment there, just out of practice, got myself back to front perhaps. Or else there were things going on that you can't feel now, because it's a replay. Anyway, we get behind the tug, and from then on I manage a reasonable aerotow. So here we go. Interesting land out options, or land out, where you go. Obviously the local people will know exactly where you go, which one of these bits you try and go into. I suppose if you're at least going into a reasonable wind, yeah, you might sort of go across that. It's got a slope on it though, I think, isn't it? But yeah, I see. And looking back round, you can see what a lovely ridge this is, really. I don't know it all so well, so I can't give it names. I think Hay Bluff is somewhere along here. Is it that over there, maybe? I don't know. But it's a lovely extensive ridge. You can go quite a way working these hills. if you know what you're doing, which of course I don't. Anyway, off we go. I think somewhere on this aerotow, I take a chance and have a go. Yeah, I track the wheel on tow, and that can be a bit tricky to do in Condor. I remember having done that before. I don't know quite why, but it upset the whole aerotow, which can happen in real life. There's, I don't know that you're supposed to really retract the wheel on aerotow in real life, because it can take a bit of a heave to get the wheel to come up. And if you're heaving with one hand and trying to fly with finesse and watch the tug with the other, you can get distracted and not fly with enough finesse. So you haul the joystick as well as the wheel you're trying to haul up. So I think the safe practice is to keep the wheel down until you're off aerotow. But I like experimenting a bit and seeing what happens. And it's only pressing a button on the joystick in Condor. Sorry, that's my watch hitting the table. Take that off to avoid a future one. And it appears that if you can do it neatly, you might get away with it. So here we are. I can't tell you much about our location or anything, because, as I say, I really don't know Talgarth at all well. It's just a place I've set up to do a cross-country and on Condor, and away we go. See if I can fast forward a little bit. There'll be a bit of toing and froing. I'll have to edit this stuff out because I will clearly go to the wrong place. But it's just an aerotow. And here we go. We've released off the aerotow here. Oh, okay, so that's paused it. So having done that, okay. So we're off tow now. We seem to be in a good thermal off the launch. And where is the other guy? Oh, there he is. Yes, now I remember this. I'm going round the thermal the opposite direction to him. And of course, which is what you don't do in gliders, but it's a bit difficult when you're in a Condor replay, or when you're flying with a ghost, because you may do something, and then he's not going to cooperate, and I don't want to lose my thermal and change direction. And there is a case for saying that provided I know he's there and going the wrong way, the job is to watch whether he's gaining on me and it's getting dangerous, which is exactly what I did. He didn't gain on me, and we just carried on like this. But it would be bad practice in real life if you were, the CFR would be having a word for you. And really, you could reverse the turn. I just couldn't be bothered because it was Condor. I could have gone out here and then back in, but then he'd have gained on me, and that would have made the circling less pleasurable. So I didn't bother to do it. But what have we got above us? We've got quite a nice cloud above us. Okay, so we rise up to here. I think cloud base was quite good. I think we get to about 6,000 feet cloud base, and that's all quite jolly. So let's not dwell on that either. Let's try moving forward, see where we go. Where are we now? Right, looks as though we're now on task to Shobden with 29 kilometers to go. Just play that for a moment and see what's the ghost doing. Where is he? He's still mucking around somewhere. Oh, there he is. He's back there. Yeah, he's now 4 kilometers behind me. So it's probably because the thermals were weaker on that day, and so the ghost is probably having more of an effort to get himself up to height and start the task. And especially with that wind, the wind will be drifting him perhaps out of the starting triangle thing. So anyway, we're away and we're off on task, and that's all good. So we won't dwell on that. We will now pause that, and we'll see if we can fast forward. That's approaching TP1. Okay, so let's see how we get on around TP1, whether there's anything interesting here. So we're coming into TP1 at Shobden. Just about to see Shobden if I sort of go up close to the, the whatchamacallit, the nav aid. And after Shobden, we're going to turn about sort of 30 degrees to port, aren't we? So 30 degrees to port. So that's the stuff we've got on track once we've turned Shobden, which will do any moment now, I think. Don't know if in replay it gives you all the green triangle and indicators, because it looks as though we're in the sector now. Oh yes, it does. Yeah. Again, you can see I'm not trying to be hugely just cut the absolute corner of the sector. I'm just taking my sort of time. Okay, the sky's more over here than I thought. Oh no, I'm still deciding to see if I can get a bit of lift in this thermal, am I? I'm not in lift at the moment, I'm in sync. And the ghost is now about 11 kilometers behind us, so yeah. It's what do I think I'm doing here? I'm just mucking about because I'm plenty high. Don't know quite why I'm doing this, to be honest. No idea. I'm sure I'll give it up in a moment, but just get on with it. Oh, I really am farting about. I think I want to show you this. It's not really. There's nothing good you can learn from this. No, let's move on a bit. Okay, let's chop this bit out probably, because it doesn't have anything useful to show. It doesn't explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't even recall doing it. A bit pointless. So we should, yeah, I think we're straightening up now to go to the Long Mynd. Okay. So yes, so I'll look ahead, and there's the first cumulus is quite a long way. It's a long way off, and of course, by the time you get there, it could be dying. So it's not even something you can be sure about, but I can't think what else to do except head off, on track for the moment and see how it goes. So we're on a heading of 360. Yeah, you're pretty much due north, isn't it, really? And the wind is kind of due west. So in a way, you could argue I might have been better thinking a bit more about the cumulus that are to the left of track, let's say 10 or 20 degrees off the nose to the left, because you fly slightly more in that direction than if you pick up something, then the wind is going to drift you back on track, whereas if you pick up things over here, it's going to drift you further around, so that when you come out of it, you're going to have to go fly more into wind towards TP2. So I didn't really do the best I could here heading for this one. But I guess I thought it was nearer and better, and I just thought I'd go for it and see how it went. And there are ones beyond it as well, so and I'm trying to recall, but I think when I got to this one, it was a little bit, it wasn't that great, because I'd set Macready at about 4 knots, I think, because it was a good first climb, and I went for that. So what are we doing here? Let's just try here and see what's happening. Yes, we've got to the cloud in question, but if you look up, I can see lots of blue sky through it. It's decaying, so it's still giving lift, and I think I always like staying high, and I think I was below 4,000 when I arrived at this, and so I think I really thought I do want to top up a bit, because I couldn't see anything I necessarily would want to move to in a hurry. Interesting that the Ghost has got to within nearly 4 kilometres of me now, so they've probably done something in a more positive way than I did back at TP1. So yeah, we might be gaining 500 feet or something in this thermal, but it's below our target really from Macready, but averaging 2.8, so it's not a complete waste of time. But I think we'll need to give it up quite soon, so let's not dwell on that too much. Move on a bit. Right, so we've moved on a little bit. What do we do now? I think we've probably left the decaying one somewhere back there. Nothing decayed back there now. What's it right behind us? Might be right behind us, I don't know. Anyway, we're coming up to something quite juicy looking here. We're under 4,000, so I will almost certainly want to take this. Somehow or other, I now seem to be slightly left of track, which is quite good, because if I go into this, it will blow me back on track, I suppose, assuming I do go into it. So because I can't remember my every move, so I don't do too bad on this. And the Mynd is, where are we now? We're 10 kilometers away, so I think the Mynd is probably those brownie topped hills over there, or is it beyond them? No, I think it might be these brownie topped hills here, over there, I think. We'll see in a bit. Might be the lot beyond them, actually. So there we go. This is more like it. This is a good-looking climb. Ghost is still about 4.5 kilometers behind us. One of the things about Condor, I think I've said it on previous flights and videos, is that I would be trying to hold an unballasted duodiscus back to, I think, 50 knots when circling in a thermal. But Condor, I think it's trying to sort of say, don't forget that when you come back to 50 knots, your control authority is poorer, so it will make you pay if you're not centered that well. It just doesn't seem to handle as well, so very often you are better going around at more like 60 knots just for a quiet life, and you still get a pretty reasonable climb rate. Recentering a bit there. But you can see I'm always trying to ease the nose back to 50 because my old gliding instincts are I don't want to be at 60 really. I want to try and get back to 50 and still have good control on the plane centered. And you've got to keep practicing that, I think, to try and get there. So now it's interesting. I think I can tell on this occasion that although the ghost is only 3.5 kilometers behind me, he looks as though he's considerably lower. So he's got some work to do, and we're averaging 4.5 knots, 4.6. That's quite good. So we're in quite a good climb here, and not too far off the track we want to be on, hopefully. So we'll just enjoy the sermon a little bit. Yeah, still seem to be ending up circling at around 60 knots, but you know, when you've got a climb rate like this and things, I mean, I'm constantly trying to coax it back. That's me coaxing. That's not poor speed control. That's me wanting to get it back to 50 knots to see whether it can be done. Because you know, it surely must be the case if you can circle at 50 knots and turn tighter and call the thermal closer, call the thermal better. That should head you for the best climb rate, but for some reason it's hard to make it work out like that in Condor. But we're doing okay. We're above our 4-knot target, 12,200, so we're coming up, and I think I will take this up. I think some of these the other thing I tend to do is I will take the thermals into cloud and fly on the artificial horizon. There might be cloud penalty points, but I'm not interested in the penalty points or anything like that. I just like to have fun testing different flying skills, and one of the things is flying in cloud, which I like to do, and see if I can get better at it. Because not just flying in cloud, but actually managing to stay centered in a thermal in cloud. That's what makes it particularly interesting. We're above, going up to 5.5 on the average now. It's okay. I'll have some of that, thank you. Still going around more or less at 60 knots for all that. Still trying to pull the nose up. That's me trying to ease the nose up and see whether I can get the thing to sort of come into the core of the thermal better. But of course, in real life, again, by the time you get to this height, you generally don't have to sort of circle, I think I'm right in saying quite as tight, because the thermals tends to have got a bit broader across by then. The various entrain bits have all formed one great big rising lump, and things should be a bit better than they were at, let's say, 2,000 feet, where you really have got to catch some more core. Yeah, there's the ghost. You can see he's way, way lower than me, so he almost looks like he's got a problem, actually, but he's certainly a lot lower. I have no idea what happened to him then, but he's not having a great time. He did get round the task, though, so slow though it was, he got round it. And I'd done a lot less flying on Condor then than I have now. Having said that, I haven't flown a lot in Condor, even at times. I only fly every now and again. I don't really practice. It's quite good fun to imagine, okay, well, in theory, whatever I do in Condor, I might be able to step into a glider even without practice and get on and do. Whether I'd be allowed to is quite another matter. So we're above 6,000 now, and by now I'll be looking at the instruments. I won't be attempting to work, use any physical horizon. I don't know whether this control that allows me to move, there we go, it's showing as we've gone into cloud. I don't know whether this control bar that allows me to fast forward and things will show on the replay video. If it does, it gets in the way of the instruments a bit. The other thing I remember about replays is they don't reflect everything that happened on the instruments. I think, for instance, I don't think the artificial horizon moves on replay, which is a shame because I'd like to sort of show off how well I'm managing to fly on the artificial horizon at times. But there we go. Right, so here we are back on track, heading for the Mynd, 10 kilometers away. Yes, it must be, it's beyond this line of hills, I think, to the next lot, isn't it? So let's just skip on. See if we can get ourselves the Long Mynd. Where is that Mynd? Oh, is it even further away than I thought? It must be the Mynd up ahead there. Oh no, we've obviously gone past the Mynd. So no, sorry. When you do these replay things, it's quite difficult to accurately move along. I don't know quite where we are now. We'll edit this kind of stuff out. Let's see if we can. We're not on the screen to the Long Mynd, so that's 4 kilometers to the Long Mynd. Right, okay, there's the Mynd. You can see it just to the right of the nose, at a declination of about 20 degrees or something. That little bit of green in the middle of the browny hilltop. So, well, I guess we might as well. We can see if we can get just a little tiny bit close. Oh yeah, let's do the TP at the Mynd. The Mynd, I've only ever flown at the Mynd once as well, and that was back in the 90s when my club went up there and they took a twin austere with them, I think. And it was either late March or early April, and it was cold. I spent 3 nights in the bunkhouse at the Mynd, and it was bloody cold. And for all my helping out in the airfield and everything, I think I got 1 flight in the twin austere, and it was the most useless flight I can recall ever having. Because although there was some nice cumulus about, it was that kind of spring weather where the lift might be strong, but the sink is also very strong in between. And for whatever reason, the tuggy just seemed to tow us, and we released in the worst possible bit of sky. Hit massive sink so that I hardly got a moment to fly it before the instructor wanted to take over. And then when I might have at least practiced a circuit landing, another glider cut into the circuit to land and created a slightly tight situation, which I think I'd have handled, but he didn't want me to handle. So he took it back and I couldn't even do the landing. So for a rather expensive aero tow, I got virtually, I don't know, like 8 minutes in the air or something like that. No chance on the sticks, and the twin austere is known as the concrete swan anyway, so it's not exactly the most gorgeous of gliders to fly. And with that, I think I decided I'd spent enough time being cold at Talgarth, at the Mynd, and called it a day. It was a pretty place to be, though, and I remember there were these snow showers that kept drifting across the landscape. And standing from the Mynd and looking towards the Welsh Marches, it was like someone was shaking icing sugar over the landscape, because what was green would go underneath this snow shower, and the ground beneath it would come out white. So you had this trail of kind of white across the countryside. It was fantastic. And I remember at one point as well that the gliders were up and got caught out by one of these showers, and the last of them were actually having to land through some quite heavy snow. And I thought, gosh, that must have been quite interesting for them. I'm sure it wasn't as bad as it looked, but it was also the week, mind you, where up at Camp Hill, because I went up to Camp Hill on the Friday to see if I might fly there, but I found there'd been a fatality when an Ollie 463 pilot had got cut off from the airfield by a QNIM, and I think he just thought he could try and go through it to get to the airfield, because he was frightened of doing a field landing, and field landings aren't good around Camp Hill. It's all small fields with dry stone walls, all on slopes, and I think he'd lost control in the cloud, and that was that. So there was it was not a very happy atmosphere there. It was a bit sad, but there you go. So here I am again, just on real flying safety. It's not generally a very good idea to be taking thermals right up to cloud base like this, because as you can see, the visibility gets very poor in that last 500 feet or so. It depends on the day, but let's say 500 feet or so to cloud base, which means you won't be able to see somebody coming across the sky, and they might not see you. So, it's not really a very good idea to be taking thermals to cloud base. But when you're a new pilot, because it's so exciting, you want to do it. And when I'm in Condor, well, I think, well, yeah, I'm doing this. I know what you should and shouldn't do in real life, but this is Condor, and I'm enjoying myself. I want to go into cloud, if it's worth it, and do some cloud flying. So, up I go. Right. So we've now decided to set off at Talgarth, and I won't show this whole leg, but I seem to recall on this leg, I think I am a bit too overambitious heading straight for Talgarth, thinking I can get onto final glide without too much difficulty. I think maybe I head for this cloud up ahead only to find that it's not very good as I approach it. Looking back, I would have done better, although we're flying pretty much, well, you're not far off the wind. I mean, the wind's, what are we now? No, the wind is about 60 degrees off our nose. No, that's partly what I didn't think about enough. It's 60 degrees off our nose, so it's over there somewhere. So I would have been better going for these clouds at the 2 o'clock position, I think, and taking a climb from them and letting them drift me back on track. But hey-ho, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Yeah, you could see as I approached this cloud, I mean, it looked good. I thought it'd be safe, but as I approached it, it's looking very kind of ragged, like it's starting to dissipate. So that's not very good. So let us move on, because what happens in the end is can show that bit, but at one point I got quite low. I got myself into a bit of a situation, which luckily I got out of, but I might not have. Is it around here? Let's see what happens around here. So I can't change this display to show me how far below final glide I am, but I am below final glide, I think. And look at me now. I mean, I don't know what I think I'm doing. What height am I? I'm not that high. I'm below. I'm below 4,000 feet. And don't forget, it's hilly terrain, so your height above ground isn't necessarily 4,000 feet. I've got nothing very obvious in sight to go for. I really am getting in a bit of a situation here. Nothing's particularly popping up. There's something a bit faint up ahead, but is it growing or is it decaying? I probably haven't paid as much attention to the sky as I should have, because Condor's great like this. It will quietly pop up a thermal like they do in real life, but if you've not been paying attention, you might not notice it, or when you do notice it, you might not be able to say to yourself, is that the dying bit of an old cloud, or is it the beginning of a strong one? You should have been paying more attention and watching the trend. So here I am, scratching my head a bit about what to do. I'm thinking I shall end up meeting a ridge or something like that and having to sit on it, if I'm lucky, until something comes through that I can S-turn away in, thermal. Oh, I'm getting all dithery now. I'm thinking, have I got to go for something over there? And I think, oh dear, it's a long way off track. And it's, of course, you're being blown downwind when you do that, so you're really making life harder for yourself as well. Perhaps I'm thinking I'm going to head for this stuff that's on the nose now. It's still off track. Quite badly off track. It's about 100 degrees off track, really, so it's not good. And then I'm thinking, no, I can't do that, it's too far off. I'm getting in a right state here, and I end up heading over here. Yes, I think so. And this does become my salvation, because you can just about see there's a bit of a ridge and then the ground drops away. I managed to get on that side of it and just about survive and then pick up a thermal. But let's see if we can get to that ridge, whether we can move gently enough to do that. Come on, can we move it just a little bit? Right, we're getting close to that ridge. See if we can get a bit closer than that. Right, so here we are. I think, pretty much, it's not much of a ridge, but here we are over it. Let's see what we're doing. We're down to 2.4 now. This is not good. I mean, in this kind of countryside, and you can see my height above terrain is somewhat less than 2.4. So I've really got to be thinking about, well, where will you land if this goes pear-shaped? And yes, I think I can go into some of these things without much trouble, but I will be going into them quite soon, not careful. But there is a bit of a contour here that might at least allow me to survive, and in Condor at least I might have a chance of getting away. And then I think, you see, I'm trying to catch this cloud here, but I think for some reason it doesn't happen in a straightforward way. Perhaps because the cloud is a bit behind the ridge, so the way Condor often works is that, well, yes, you're trying to catch lifting air there, but there's sinking air now behind the slope. So you're probably going to have to stay forward of the slope as the safer gambit and hope to catch something. So I don't know what's going on here, but I clearly am not feeling confident about sticking with it. Sort of carry me away from the slope, and so yeah, I think I've decided to try and stay forward of the slope, which yeah, that's right, because it is a pretty interwind slope, this at least, so at least I can sort of stay here without sinking too much and hope that one of these clouds will come towards me. But obviously my time on task is, my speed is going right down here, because this is a major cock-up. All my own fault. I made bad decisions on this leg, definitely. And I say bad decisions, I didn't pay enough attention, to be honest. I think I was a bit too kind of like, oh, it'll all fall into place, and it didn't. Now, what's going on here? So I think this is just the effect of the ridge, just about buying me time, nothing else. Now, why does the lift get strong there? Because there is no cumulus above me. Condor could be just starting a climb. It's massive, that's more than the slope could be doing, so obviously I turn tight into it. I have no idea why it's working. It drops away, but I'm going to try and stick with it, I hope, because that's so strong that I can push it forward again, because maybe that's where it was, yeah. But it's kind of very variable. It's very broken up, so I don't know what's going on there. Perhaps it's low down. There's no sign of the cumulus that could be causing it. So it's the beginning of something, but I am at least getting some strong lift here, so obviously I'm just going to try and centre him, whatever it is, and go with it, because this is more than just the ridge by a long way. So to cut a long story short, Although I got in a mess, I didn't stay in the mess for too long before I picked up lift. Come on, where have you gone? Where's the lift gone? I'm still rather baffled because I don't quite know what's caused it. It's a bit of a mystery, really. Very odd. That's the cloud that I didn't manage to catch and stuff to do with it. Very strange. I have to come forward again here now. I've lost whatever it was, but I have at least gained a few hundred feet. Bad sink there. Will I come back into lift? No sign of cumulus above me. This cloud's getting close now, so I'm thinking to myself, probably, well, nothing else happens. You can fly underneath that cloud and get away. Let's see what I do. Very strange. Very strange. No obvious reason for this lift. And I can see I'm confused because the cloud surely will be a good thing to go to up ahead, or do I try and work that lift? But last time it just petered out on me. I'm clearly wanting to make my way forward to this cloud where I can get there without too much delay. And of course this cloud will be able to bring me more lift than I could possibly need to get onto final glide, so but in doing it I'm having to be quite far off track. Going for it here, going for it, going forward. We're pretty much into wind, so it should be a question of just flying into wind until we bump into it. So the lift will be a bit upwind of the cloud, although it's an extensive bit of cloud, so we'll probably still be underneath it. Here we go, it's starting to happen now. Good stuff. Check all is clear, then circle. At this point the ghost isn't too far behind me, but I suspect they're low and having trouble as well. I think they had similar trouble on this leg at the time. Get centered. Get that lift centered. That's better. That's better. Right, I don't think I'll hang around here. I'm pretty sure that this is what happens from here on in. I just climb away, get myself on final track, final glide, and away we go. So let's get through there. Yeah, we're fine. Okay, let's move on. Heading towards Talgarth, 15k out. We're almost there now. Right, let's play it from here for a bit. So coming into Talgarth on final glide. The ghost is some considerable distance back, I think. I can't even see him. He's disappeared off the trace. So here's Talgarth, and you can see the shorter runway that we're sort of roughly aligned with. The tug is lined up with it there, and it's shorter than the well-marked one. And that's what we'll be landing on at the end of our flight. You might ask why. Well, because it's there, I think, and I fancy the challenge. So we come away from Talgarth, having completed the task, and so we're going to head for the hills. But of course, we're not heading to the hills with a lot of height underneath our belt, so we're going to need to connect with the hills and crack on with it without much fuss. Yeah, there's no sign of the ghost. He's way back there somewhere. I don't know what's happened. It's obviously had to do with some real issues. And I think I have a bit of an interesting time connecting with the hill here because I don't think I bumped straight into quite the lift I was hoping to. But I won't talk. Let's see what happens. So I think I imagined I would already be getting sort of strong lift indicators, but hopefully coming pretty close. But it's starting to work. But very carefully, so you have 55 knots, and that's not a lot of speed. I should have a bit more speed on, really, especially when you're in this situation. But, you know, I'm aware of it, and just being careful. Curve round with the hill now. Hug it tight. Hug it tight. try and pick up the left zone. It's nothing great. So I'll have to come out away from it again. Now, all of this that I'm doing here in real life will be very dodgy because there could be a glider doing exactly the same thing coming the opposite way. So, you know, you really wouldn't want to be doing this in real life. Not good. Not good. Picked up a bit of a bump there, but I've now got to get back into this hillside because I'll fly out of the left zone. So yeah, unsafe real life flying there, but we're not in real life, we're in Condor, so we're not worrying about that. We're just assuming we're the only glider in the world, which apart from the Ghost we are. Lovely and close to the ground. You see how light in this bit of fun. Okay, well below ridge height, and still not really. We really are not getting any powerful ramping yet. Very slowly getting something, and I'm looking for a real hit here, and I've not found it yet. Maybe this bit could be quite good, I think, because it'll start to cross the wind. And of course I'm getting further and further away from Talgarth, so it's got to work or I won't get home, but it must surely work at some point because it's an into-wind slope, you know, more or less. Okay, that's getting a bit better now. Okay, we're starting to crest the ridge. That's more like it. Okay, so here we go. Starting to get away very slow. Look at the speed. Let the SP get way too slow there. Not good. Not good. Yes, don't all write in with your comments, CFIs. I do know. Okay. And we can fly slower now because we're pretty much above bridge height. It's not the same situation. But, yeah, still best not to be too slow. See, when you look at it, now you've got time to look at it, you can see that this section here actually it's not that into wind really. So it's not surprising to get much here. Condor's really good because you may get it better now you're higher and further away from the slope because you get a cumulative effect. But when you're low down, you're constantly in the lee of the outcrops. So anyway, we carry on like this and we rise up to some pretty decent height. We'll move forward a bit. Move forward a bit. There's the Ghost now, but he's still 12 kilometers away. We'll move forward a certain amount. I'll come back a touch. Oh, it's just like a proper climb into cloud, isn't it? I think probably. Yeah, the Ghost is now 12 kilometers away. We're coming up underneath this cloud. And this time we seem to be managing 50 knots as we circle, or not too far. But can we hold it back at 50 knots? We're obviously trying to. Knots anyway, but yeah, speed control is everything in it. In Condor, the joystick's not like a real plain joystick. You've got kind of like a bit of a neutrally float stuff and things. So it's quite difficult. In a way, it's quite good because it means you have to probably pay more attention than ever to the ASI and things because it's just you can't do it from the feel on the stick. I mean, there's the old thing about looking out over the horizon, crossing the horizon at the right point, and obviously you do a certain amount of that. But I always like to practice being able to sort of look out and look up and and still keep a steady turn, you know, and a good speed around the turn by doing a scan across the instruments and a scan of various things. So, you know, it's practice, 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 and I don't do very much of it. So, so we're rising up to cloud base. Young fella, my lad, is 11 kilometres out still, so he looks as though he's making his way towards the end of the task, but won't be there for a little bit yet. And I think we're heading to do a bit of cloud climbing here, aren't we? I don't know how far we go into it. I think from memory, these clouds didn't go. I don't think the lift went too far into the clouds, and you find yourself kind of like coming out the side of them and all sorts. But we'll see. I think we'll hold on to this bit of replay to see how we go into cloud. Because in the end, what I'm trying to do here is get to a height that might give me a good chance of connecting with the wave. So if that means going into cloud to do it, of course I'm going to do it, you know. Let's see, 10 kilometers out, right, okay. In we go properly, in we go. Recenter, ease the stick over and then back in a bit. Ease it back in a bit. Airspeed's a bit low, but not really finding the strong lift in the cloud if there is any, but I'm certainly trying to straighten out. But you can't see the artificial horizon working, so you can't tell what I'm doing, but you can tell from the seat, yeah, I'm trying to sort of recenter, find the stronger lift, but it's difficult. But I'm still going up, still averaging 2.5. I'll take anything I can get. This Condor is great there for practicing things like cloud flying. I mean, you know, it's what an excellent simulator. Somewhere or other I managed to bump into good lift. Finally connected. But even so, you can tell from the way Condor's behaving, I'm not really that far into the cloud. I mean, you know, I'm still being told I'm in cloud, out of cloud, whatever. Painfully slow progress, really. We've not gone very far into the cloud. I mean, we've not gained a lot of height. I mean, yeah, look at it. I think I've decided to give it up. Look at it. It's all kind of. Do I go back into it again? I might do. I've got nothing else better to do. No, I think the cloud is thinning and decaying, probably. Found anything in it, have I really? Nah. So we might as well fly on. Right, so we'll fly on. I don't know if I'm trying to turn now or not. Am I still trying? Ghost is now under 8 kilometers away, so it's slow, very slow getting there, but it's, yeah, I can't tell because the artificial horizon is not working, but I'm not sure that I'm circling now or just kind of getting out of it. Yeah, I think I've been cruising around trying to find some lift in it and not really finding any. So off we go. Let's move on. But we are closer to those wave bars. They definitely look bigger now altogether. So what am I doing here at this point? I think I'm now trying to fly in wave mode, aren't I? I think I'm now sort of trying to feel around for air that might be lifting without any obvious explanation of why it's lifting, other than it might be waves. So, you know, for instance, why is this starting to happen now at this height, way above the ridge and with no cumulus to explain it? Yeah, I'm starting to sort of think this is wave lift. How can I connect with it? We'll watch this for a moment because see how difficult it is to... I should be flying a bit slower than this, really. I should be back at 15 knots, I think, but I don't know why I'm not. To some extent, I'm trying to gently weave to and fro to work out where it's getting stronger and where it's weakening. Turning towards it gets stronger. I've then presumably got to turn across it at some point. So it looks as though I'm starting to head directly into it. And now I've already got to imagine that I'm getting the strongest bit and I want to be now riding the wave, so I want to be kind of traversing it a bit. But I find it so difficult. My airspeed control isn't particularly good, that doesn't help. I should be doing better on that. No, I think, is it there? Is it there? It's as though I'm kind of groping my way through the lift without being able to really get a pattern to it. And so it continues, and let's go on a bit. I don't see any more height there, so I've obviously been doing the same thing, getting nowhere. I say getting nowhere, I get some up, and then I get some down after I've lost it. Still get the same. I don't know what's going on here. Oh, no, I am high. It's not reflecting the ASI as I move the bar. So, right, so I've managed to gain some height now at 6.5. But, you know, still not that great. Where is the... Oh, over there, right, it's okay. So I'm now way downwind of Talgarth and the hills there. So I'm being blown downwind with this stuff. And I'd like to try and move upwind on the bars, if I can as well. So here's what looks like a bar. Yeah, now if I can just stay with that and ride it. Coming up to 4 knots almost. Strengthening. This is wave. Yeah. It doesn't go for long before it tries to start dropping away again. It gets more difficult to try and work out where it is. Slowly losing it. So I'll now have to try and reverse my beat, see if I can find it again in a minute. Turn into wind, probably. No, we still think we might have gone too far into wind. So I'm doing a check to see whether in case I've gone too far into wind. No, it doesn't look as though I have. I think I've kind of fallen behind it. But then you see, then this happens. So what's going on here? I'm all over the place with it, it seems to me. Anyway, I'm just going with what I find. And it's strong, you know, I mean, this is nearly 5 knots at the moment. 5 knots. But those wave bars are still a long, the lenticulars are still a long way above me. And I imagine if you had the great patience to stick at it, you might be able to sort of get through to those, but I don't know. I think I sort of have, you know, read the reports from Chris Gill and the people who fly up at Denby who do a lot of wave stuff, and there are just days when you just can't get above a certain height. You know, you can get wave, but you won't get up to the flight level 195, that's the limit there. And you have to settle for something like 11,000 or something. Anyway, so we keep doing this kind of thing. I'll move on a bit. Hold on. So where are we now? Oh yeah, well we're now nearly 8,000 feet, and look at this, we're now in sort of nearly 7 knots, or 6 knots of wave. So we're starting to do rather better with the length of our passes now. Yeah. So you know, and this makes you think, gosh, can I really get up to the big heights? But to cut a long story short, although I'm getting better runs now on the wave bars, it all gets difficult again at about 11,000 feet. But as you can see, there are moments of strong wave lift. And, you know, it extends for a bit as well. Nearly up to 6 knots, 6 knots, yeah. Not quite sure why I'm flying at 60 knots and not 50, but anyway, I'm doing okay at 60 knots, so we'll just stick with that. I'm not munching my speed control as well as I should, but never mind. I'm just an occasional flyer and an old geezer. Not trying to be the biggest hotshot. So I think the Ghost has now finished task, and I think, yeah, he's well into fooling around, trying to get as high as he can off the ridge. He doesn't know about wave or anything, so he's not into all that. He might have done a bit of cloud climbing on his cumulus, I can't remember. And I'm coming up quite nicely. So there we go, we'll move on a little bit. What happens if we go to about... Yeah, so I mean, I'm getting quite a good run on wave here. I mean, I'm nearly up to 9,000 feet here, so you know, things really did start to happen. Yeah, quite nice wave here. Yeah, averaging 4.4. It's pretty good, isn't it, really? Up to 9,000 feet. So let's move on. 9,500, okay. And still doing quite nicely. Move on a bit. See, still only 9.5 here, so clearly it started to be a bit difficult to maintain progress. No, we're still not really bad. Now we're over 10,000 feet. Now we're nearly 11,000 feet. And it's not much beyond this where I really started, oh golly, you know, how much more of this I want to do. Those lenticules look a lot bigger, they do look inviting. It would have been fun to get up there, but I really am thinking, well, the Ghost won't be fooling around there for much longer, and I want to go and do some formation flying with him, so I've got to make a decision here, and I think I will quite soon make the decision to abandon my wave hunting and go and join him. So let's go forward a bit more. What do we do? What happens now? Yes, I'm still only at 10.7 as I move forward. Go forward a bit more. Yes, so I think this is about the point where I abandon. Yeah, I'm putting my nose down now. I'm going to join my buddy over here, and we'll have a bit of fun ridge bashing. And this was a bit of a hoot. I did enjoy this. And then I thought, well, you know, I'm flying near to VNE here, and I'm still way higher than him and things, so I need to detour a bit just to lose some height. And so I think to myself, I'll try and detour. Apart from the fact that I'm above a speed where you should be opening air brakes, I think I don't want to open air brakes and dump height unnecessarily, so I decide to detour and surprise attack him. And this was a lot of fun. I've got to watch the airspeed here because I'm getting in a little bit close. I mean, strictly speaking, I'm exceeding. I can't quite read it. I don't think what the maximum speed in rough air is on this. Whenever it's rough airspeed. Rough airspeed, oh dear, rough airspeed is 97 knots, so really, I'm being very naughty. It's quite interesting in a way, because Condor might have chosen to break the aeroplane up if I exceeded that, I suppose. Yeah, 97 knots. Well, no, I'm well over that, aren't I? Never mind. Only a game. So what I'm trying to do is to get myself down the level so I can go pow right through this cloud. I just can't get myself low enough to go quite through the middle of it, but I managed to kind of skim through its upper levels. Great fun. Very handy that he continues to show his marker, even though you couldn't see him through the cloud. It's weird how even though I was sure it's diving into the cloud, it's not really. It's as though I'm barely going into it. Going through a bit here, but whoosh out the other side, and here we are. We're still at 7,500 here. We're going to open the brakes now to actually try and get myself down to join him here all night. I think I recall, by great good fortune, I've timed this just about perfectly, because it would have been a bit dull spending too long just cruising along at high level with the Ghost. Well, that might have been nice, I suppose, to get right alongside him. But I think I joined him at just about the point where he is saying, I'm going to go and do some ridge badging. I'm bored with this, trying to see how high I can get on the ridge. Which might be partly why I'm sort of having to work to catch him up, because he's probably already putting on some speed or something and getting going. So anyway, but I'm working on it. So I'm certainly going to try and head him off at the pass. That's the theory. There's Talgarth at our 10 o'clock position. And you can sort of see, I mean, they make it easy with those twinkling lights in the game, but you know, it's not that easy if you don't know it to spot it from the fields and things around it. So here we go. Bye-bye, wave clouds. So here the kind of challenge in a way is that I'm now chasing this guy, almost paying no attention to whether I'm in lift, out of lift, this, that and the other, but just assuming that, well, if he can fly through that, I can fly through that. Because I quite what experience he's having as he does it. And you must always got to remember to fly for yourself, you know, because you don't want to follow him to the point where he might fly you into a hillside or something if you get something wrong. So there's a bluff. He's being a good boy and moving out from the bluff before he rounds it, like the CFI told me to all those years back. But I'm cutting right across the hill here. So I'm trying to get to close in on him, so I still need a shortcut or two to do that, because he's motoring along. Right, we're starting to get close now. He's reversing his beat. Now below him, right, we're starting to getting close. This is what I love about virtual reality and Condor. It's just like the real thing. I mean, the sense of relative motion and the whole challenge of flying. Opening the air brakes there for a moment, just to try and keep a slight distance from him. the slope there, in the lee, in the sink. It's a fascinating challenge trying to keep him close on the one hand and fly yourself in the lift on the other hand, and you tend to kind of, well, I tend to just think I can follow them and have the same experience, but it doesn't work out quite the same because all these subtle variations on the amount of energy he's carrying and the slight line he takes and how he handles it. And at the moment, as you can see, I'm sort of getting behind him when I really want to be closer. Wow, that's a spirited turn there. A chandelle, really. I've obviously decided something a bit similar. Dive down here. Wow, this is fabulous flying, really. You really would in real life be... I mean, you shouldn't be going around bluffs like this. This is very bad. If someone's coming the other way, you know, you shouldn't do it. But I mean, we're in Condor and we're having fun. We're the only two gliders about. So somehow I've ended up much lower than him here. Not really gaining him on him much at all. So something about the line he took has left him higher in with the same energy. And so I didn't pay enough attention to what he did in doing the same. So I'm obviously decided I'm going to take a different route here. See if I can reconnect in a bit. Whether I will is quite another matter. But that's the fun of it. Will he turn out here? No, I'm having to turn in for a lift. Although quite what lift I'll get here remains to be seen. It looks like he's got his energy his line a bit wrong as well. We've gone into the creases of the hill and come out of the lift. I'm slipping back onto the hill higher up here, hoping that it'll start to work better. And then obviously we don't like it, I can fly out away from the hill again, but he's turning round. I think I've got to go a bit further and see if I can get a bit of energy on. No, we're alright, I'm going to turn with him. This is cool stuff. Yeah, I've suddenly found myself a lot lower than him, you know. Quite sure, oh no, we're bobbing up and down, now I'm on his tail again, but not tons of energy. Get around here. looks as though he might be ending his ridge session and thinking about landing at Talgarth. So this will be fun because I'll stay right behind him and try and come in right after him. See how closely I can come in behind him. But oh, bit of jerkiness there. What's going on there? Bit of jerkiness in the game. Hope it settles down. What's going on here? Let's hope the game settles down. We've got some VR jerkiness going on. Things are getting unstable. Let's hope we can make it to the end of the clip. If not, we'll reload and do this as a final little bit on its own. I should be quite pleased with it. Starting to press on my face and make me tired. There we go, not long now. Yeah, he's obviously declared he's landing at Talgarth. What are we now? At 2,600. Talgarth's about 900 and something above sea level. So I'm opening the brakes to close them again. I decided I'd rather hold on to height. I don't want to lose too much height and end up in a situation. I don't know quite what his intention is, so I've got to not bleed off too much energy, but I obviously need to bleed off some because I'm rather higher than him. It looks as though he's committed to circuit now, so I'm doing the same, but slightly higher and more brakes out, because I can always close the brakes and just hold height a bit if he does something unexpected. But he looks pretty much committed now on base leg and about to turn finals. I think we should be okay, but I've still got to give him a little bit of distance to roll to a stop on the runway and work out where he is and then come in so I can get close to him but not but be able to stop without hitting him. We shall see. Here we go. Bye bye ridge, bye bye wave, bye bye task and thermals. We've had a great time. And I'll be calling out to Talgarth as well that I'm intending to land after him. Landing to the west or the southwest really, isn't it? More the south. So he's down. I've got quite a lot of height, but I'm holding my brakes out too. And you can see the way the ground drops away at the threshold of the runway. So you want to be as short as you can be, but obviously without undershooting. And he's landed well. He's only used about 2/3 of that short stretch, so he's landed nice and accurately. Come in, and I want to do similarly. I'm kind of sort of sneaking round onto finals really, rather than flying a tidy circuit. But in this kind of site, I'm always happy to do that, just ease myself into position. And I want to be to left him anyway because I've got to squeeze in alongside him, not run into his backside. Looking good here, speed not too bad, a little bit slow perhaps, but we're okay. In we come. Slightly rough landing now. I mustn't hit him, but I want to get close. Get really close, but not hit him. Swing it round. Whew, that was so close to the wingtip. How about that for a final shot? Bada bing, bada boom. Right, lovely. Great flight, great replay. Hope you enjoyed watching that as much as I enjoyed doing it. It was a shed load of fun, I can tell you. Get yourself on Condor virtual reality and, do some seriously naughty glider flying. Right, okay. See you guys later.